actually been wanting to hear about your Comic-Con experience.
Well, I'll give you the shortest version I can give. Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con is a beast. And we barely got in at 7 o'clock, right before they even showed the movie. So we didn't even get to see the beginning of the panel. The actress who played Blind Owl, she remoted in and said, are you just gonna watch, are you just gonna show the bleeping movie? So then they started it. And experiencing that in front of all those people was really cool because we're all there for the same reason. We want to see this movie. We've been riding this train for the longest time. It was fun being able to create those memories, but at the same time, the stress and the lack of sleep is just, oh God. And just trying to survive off of convention food, which is either Frito pies, hot dogs, nachos, pizza. It's like I'm trying my best to
Yeah.
eat as clean as I could. No, no. Ryan Reynolds, Kevin Feige, Sean Levy, and Hugh Jackman, they all like watched it in the Hall H with us. They sat like right near the press, and that was what was really cool about it. That they got to experience that with the fans. I actually won priority to get into the Mattel line and get some stuff, and the Hasbro line, and um, just because they're so rare and they sold out quick, Mattel had a Jimmy Buffett Jurassic World little action figure that has like those pterodactyls coming in. And he's like holding the margaritas. So I got that one. I got the 85th anniversary Hot Wheels set of the Batmobiles. So I think they had 6 different Batmobiles on it, like the 66, the 89, 92 animated series, 96, which was Batman Forever, Batman Begins, or like Dark Knight Saga Batmobile, and then the recent one with Pattinson, the 2022. And then an impulse thing was buying the Ken Mojo Dojo Casa House from Barbie.
And
It
on
just looks
that
so
note,
funny. Yeah.
and on
And
that note, let's talk sports.
that's the short version of Jackson's trip to San
Hey,
Diego.
I
Yeah.
left out a lot of stuff. I left out a lot of stuff.
Welcome to the Circus Catch.
I'm always up for the challenge.
Are you kidding me? Guess who called that one?
I am dubbed the Houston player hater. I don't have time to believe.
You got butthurt.
What is he thinking? Is he the greatest of all time?
It is like magic.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Circus Catch. Welcome to August, and welcome to the Summer Olympics, a subject we have yet to cover on the podcast, but we're getting into everything Olympics today. Welcome to the Circus Catch. I'm Jordan, and with me today I have Jesse and I have Jackson. Fellas, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Good to see you guys. It always feels like 3 weeks is too much to have off. And then we get back into it. I'm like, oh, we just did this. Come on, I need a break again. I'm just kidding. I don't need a break from you guys.
Or we just have a long conversation before we even start recording.
All right, guys. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about these Paris Olympics, and let's talk about from beginning to now. Obviously, we still got a few days left, but I want to talk about some of my favorite moments from the Olympics so far. I do want to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart. And that is metal music being on the biggest stage in the world in front of everybody in the opening ceremonies. French metal band Gojira was a part of the opening ceremonies, and I couldn't believe my eyes because you always see some kind of pop or rap or something that people are into that I'm not going to say it's bad music, but I am going to say that people who aren't musically trained don't typically listen to those artists. People that listen to music for the musicality of it, a lot of them do listen to metal, including myself. And I don't particularly listen to Gojira a lot, but I thought that was really cool. Something to really get the people hyped up for these Paris Olympics.
You could say that that's not your baguette.
All right. Jackson with the dad jokes today, guys.
I'm out of here, y'all.
Oh my goodness.
Well, let's talk about some of the athletes then. I said my piece with the metal band. Why don't we talk about what's been going on athlete wise, because this is a show about athletics.
Well, guys, I'm going to start off with a geography based story in terms of the nations that are competing. You guys know how much I'm into geography. And for me, it's the small nations having the big success on the world stage. Jordan, you called this the biggest stage in the world. And it is without a doubt one of the premier events, not just sporting events in the world, but just one of the premier events in the history of the world is the Olympics. Summer or winter doesn't matter. Countries like Dominica and St. Lucia, for example, don't ever get on the grand stage. You might have never even heard of them until the Paris Olympics. Well, Dominica winning gold medal, their first ever medal ever in the Olympics, getting the gold from Thea Lafon Gatson in the triple jump. And then St. Lucia, Julian Alfred, the women's 100-meter dash champion, gold medals for these two nations in the Caribbean that are smaller than some of the cities you guys live in. I mean, Jackson, the population of Houston dwarfs the entire country of St. Lucia by a good margin. So, put that in perspective. And then Guatemala, for example, they got their first ever medal in the history of the Olympics. Not only that, they got their second as well just a couple days later. It's pretty astounding to see for me, for the small nations like that. And then another small nation in the Caribbean, Cuba, getting this isn't their first medal, but it's history in the making in men's Greco-Roman wrestling. Mijan Lopez Nunez getting a 5th consecutive gold medal in Greco-Roman wrestling. 5 in a row. That for a nation of that size, for him to accomplish that at the greatest stage in the world in wrestling, unprecedented. And I love seeing the success of these small countries. Even though the big nations obviously dominate the medal table every time, the US is dominating once again, but these small countries with big success, it's just one of my favorite things to see every time the Olympics comes on.
It's been the year of Scotty Scheffler and him coming back. It was John Rahm's goal to lose, and it was so unfortunate that those double bogeys that he was getting, especially on the back nine, and then Scotty just staying cool, calm, and collected. Birdie, just on the back nine, getting that turn, just being able to come back and win the gold. And it's just another thing to love about the story of Scotty Scheffler. This has been his year, and he's continuing to dominate. And I just love this because we've had that conversation about, is he the next Tiger? Well, it's starting to kind of creep up there a little bit. Obviously, no one will be on that type of plane as Tiger Woods, but just how well that Scotty Scheffler has been playing this past year, it's got to be in consideration.
Man, where do I start? I actually have quite a few things I want to talk about. But yeah. I guess I'll start with the thing that I shared with you guys earlier in the day. And that is the story of Noah Liles, the 100-meter dash for the men's. I did a project on this when we were all at school, and Austin did it as well. We did a project where we had to put bits and pieces. Can't show it on here because I can't correctly cite where I got the video from. I'm sure it's probably owned by Full Sail, but we did a story on Noah Liles and his battles as a kid with overcoming things like ADHD and severe asthma, where he had to be able to focus his energy and his breathing to be able to compete in these events. And he was getting a lot of comparisons when we did the story to one Usain Bolt, saying that this guy was the next Usain Bolt. Turns out we were right. He is the 3rd fastest man of all time. He won his race over Jamaican Kashane Thompson, guys, by 5 milliseconds. That's 0.005 seconds. They were neck and neck the entire time. What a story. What a challenge of overcoming everything to get to that point. And then he wins it all. You see him running up to his mom, they embraced each other, holding each other, crying, and man, what a story.
Another thing that I wanted to talk about comes from a local girl that lives over around here in the Houston area, Simone Biles. We all know the story about her having to not participate in Tokyo, and because she had the twisties and it was dealing with some mental health issues, and the fact that a lot of people were writing her off thinking that she wasn't going to come back. And I'm sorry, but she came back and she dominated. She came back on her terms, and the fact that she won the gold, multiple golds, and is happy with where she is. And even just being such a mental health advocate, even talking to her therapist right even before she went out to do her routine. That's just something that is amazing. My wife was telling me that. I was like, she did that? I was like, yup. I was like, oh, that's so cool. So just congratulations to Simone Biles coming back and proving all the haters wrong.
I gotta talk about our girl Katie Ledecky, because this girl is something out of the extraordinary. Not only did she beat her own record in the 1500 meters, she has the 20 fastest times in the 1500 meters in the world. You look at the world record times, the top 20, every single one of those is going to have Katie Ledecky's name next to it. Not only that, she's tied Jenny Thompson for the most Olympic gold medals by an American swimmer. They both have 8 golds, 3 silvers, and a bronze. I don't know if you guys saw her the 1500 meters here in Paris. She finished, and there wasn't even another swimmer on the TV screen.
It's ridiculous.
Crazy, man.
I'm glad she's repping the red, white, and blue, man. That's awesome to see. As
For
much
sure.
as much as like we were talking about this, seeing the small countries get it done is super inspiring. I'm a patriot at heart. I'm always going to root for the Americans above anything else. So love to see that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fantasy football season is upon us once again. It is officially August. As many of you know, we had a league last year for the Circus Catch. Yours truly ended up being the runner-up in that effort. I was beaten very badly in the championship by this man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, begrudgingly, Mr. Taylor Biggs.
What's up, guys? Thanks, Jordan, for having me.
Of course, man. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. I just hope I don't get fleeced again this year. I made a bad trade, and it really kicked me in the butt. But you were the beneficiary of that trade.
I mean, you also had a lot of injuries. We all did, but you particularly had a pretty bad injury bug. So,
well, I'm not making excuses, guys. You heard it from him. He's telling you the truth. I had it bad last year.
He's the host, so you got to boost his confidence a little bit, you know. I just got the NCAA 25 game, so I've been not only juggling 2 kids, but trying to get in some recruiting time to get some 4 and 5 stars at the same time. So, see how that goes.
Well, at least you got your priorities straight. That's for sure the more important aspect. Obviously, we haven't had a new one of these in a little over a decade, so a lot of people have been really excited about it. What's been your favorite part of that game, and are you playing with Fresno State?
I was raised in North Carolina till I was 9 years old, so I am true and true, diehard UNC Chapel Hill, Carolina Blue. I bleed Carolina Blue. So right now, I am playing Dynasty mode, which is basically like a coach for the UNC Tar Heels. I love the game. I'm not really a gamer anymore, obviously, because I have kids and everything now. But this one I've tried to fit in a little bit of time. This is only my second day playing, but I really love it. I've only played Dynasty so far, but the gameplay seems really advanced, and I do like all the new options of like how you can actually like recruit and stuff like that. And I know in the other mode that's really popular right now, I think it's called Glory Road, where you're either a player or a coach or something, and you just, you know, go up from whatever you are, 2-star recruit, 3-star walk on, whatever, and then you rise up and you try and get the Heisman, make it to the league, stuff like that. But they really put in like the minor details that go into it, like you know, like something as simple as a college athlete being offered to go to like a party or something, or like being recruited by somebody. Like they really get into the nitty gritty of the details, and it shows. So I really like it. I've only played it for 2 days, like I said. So, but first impressions are great for me.
All right, so we established that you are a UNC diehard, University of North Carolina. You are also a LA Rams diehard, and we haven't gotten into it so much on the podcast. We talk about it all the time because why else? Why would we talk about anything else? To be honest.
Oh, for sure.
Let's talk about how you yourself got into the Los Angeles Rams. I'm guessing St. Louis Rams back in the day.
I honestly can't remember because like I believe it was LA for like 1 year before they dipped to St. Louis. I think it was like the 96, 97 when I first became a fan. But also like I feel like people can call that into question because I was only 3 or 4 years old at the time. So I do have little memories of that, and I have pictures of me rocking gear, but if someone calls it into question, I guess I would say it started out LA, then to St. Louis, then back to LA. But if someone says, "Oh, you're too young," then I guess it was St. Louis to LA, whatever you want to. I'll stand on that hill though that I was all the way back to LA the first time.
I'll take the original LA. I think that's fine. I think that's fair. I mean, the only remembrance I have of the original LA Rams was from Tecmo Super Bowl.
Oh
Speaking of
man,
video
don't get me
games.
started on that. Oh man, that game is so classic. I actually have that game and the Super Nintendo in my closet right now. That was a big thing in my fanhood as well. So I got my fanhood from my father, but we used to play Tecmo Super Bowl all the time. And obviously, anyone who's played the game, you can't pick the Raiders because if you or Bo Jackson is just a cheat code. But this is still to this day, as you can see with what I said about NCAA. But I try and stick to my teams when I play. So I always pick the LA Rams. On defense, I would be Kevin Green because he was the fastest defensive player on the LA Rams back then. So I would just come off the edge and sack the quarterback every time. And then obviously on offense, you had Jim Everett, Cleveland Gary, and then legendary X and Y, you had Flipper Anderson and Henry Ellard. So, I mean, the Rams back then in Tecmo Super Bowl were one of the more unstoppable teams as well, obviously behind like the Raiders and the 49ers, which if you were in that game, those are unstoppable teams as well back then.
Some awesome throwback names. Flipper Anderson. Most
Willie
receiving
Flipper
yards.
Anderson.
Most receiving yards in a single game in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. Let's talk about this year's version of the Rams. Last year, we went from a 5-win team to a 10-win team and ended up in the playoffs as the 7th seed. This year's Rams, the key loss being Aaron Donald, obviously. But we had a really good freshman class, if you will, this rookie set of guys. And you and I talked about this the other day a little bit, that showed out last year. And I think personally they're going to look really good in season 2. What is your outlook on this season at this moment?
Obviously, we're a little biased as Rams fans, but I'd say before training camp, it was pretty optimistic. But after the beginning of training camp, more along the lines of shell shocked. The injury bug has bitten us pretty hard. 3/5 of our offensive line have gone down in the first week. I am very impressed with what they did in the offseason, though. Be it the draft, signings. One of my favorite ones that I haven't really been hearing about as much is actually Cam Curl. I thought what we got him for, I think it was 2 years, $9 million, if I'm not mistaken, was outrageous. What he did in Washington was really impressive, and he wasn't really known as a ball hawk. He didn't have a lot of interceptions, and maybe that's why his market didn't generate as much as he thought it would. But for what we got him for is an absolute steal, and I've been reading that he's been impressing in training camp. Braden Fisk has been quoted unblockable in training camp, so that's great. So I was very optimistic until training camp, but obviously now I'm just, I'm just hoping everybody gets back by week 1 so we can be at full strength, because we do have a real big test again against Detroit coming week 1. But optimist view, I'm hoping again for playoffs, and this time I'm hoping for at least a wild card win, and we can at least get at least to the divisional round this time. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Incremental improvement. That's all you can really ask for.
For sure.
You know, coming into this Olympics, a lot of people were saying, is this team better than the Dream Team? The answer was no. The answer is no. The answer will always be no. I don't ever see a team being as good as the Dream Team. But I look at this roster and I'm like, wow, we do have an embarrassment of riches in this country as far as basketball players go. It didn't look like they were super cohesive at first. That exhibition game where they beat South Sudan by 1 point, maybe I didn't give South Sudan enough credit because they played pretty well, but I thought we were done. I thought this team was cooked. They're too old. Their star players' average age is mid-30s, mid to late 30s with LeBron, Steph, and KD. But they've been showing out, and the actual bracket part of the tournament started. And I watched the game earlier today when we're recording on Tuesday. I watched it Tuesday. USA dominated the Brazilian team. There was not a moment in the game where it was close. We are going up against Serbia in the next round. So Nikola Jokic and the crew, there are actually a good, decent representation of Serbian players in the NBA. It's not going to be as easy of a match as Brazil, granted. But I think that this USA team is set up for success to go all the way to the end and bring home the gold and keep the streak going and keep the streak alive. And I do just want to say that we need to enjoy and embrace this team while we have it, because LeBron is not going to be in the Olympics in 4 years. KD is not going to be in the Olympics in 4 years. I'd be super impressed if Steph was in the Olympics in 4 years, but it's the next generation's turn. The next Olympics, we're going to see Devin Booker and Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Halliburton and Drew Holiday and Jason Tatum and all these guys as the main focus of the Olympic team. So I don't know. It just makes me feel like a little kid watching these guys, because it's the superstars and they're on their way out, and I want to see them go out in a blaze of glory.
I think that's the part of the reason, Jordan, why this team will never, these teams will never be as good as the Dream Team. Back when the Dream Team was dominating internationally, there wasn't this plethora of international superstars on the hardwood. There just wasn't. But now you've got countries like Serbia and Canada, even South Sudan, the youngest country in the world, winning games on the Olympic stage. It's come full circle that this team, that back in the 90s, their goal not only was to dominate and win gold, but was to bring basketball to the world stage. And I think they accomplished both of those. They've created this superstar look of basketball on the world stage, and it's great to see the international talent. I mean, Jokic is what, a 2-time MVP in the NBA? 3-time? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. 3 times. There you go. International talent is here. Jordan, Victor Wembanyama, international superstar.
France is in the semifinals. They're playing Germany.
Exactly. And to see the international talent that is here in the Olympics, I know you guys are pretty well set on the fact that the U.S. is going to win gold and continue dominating, but don't be surprised if we see one of these other countries win gold either this year or in 4 years. It's coming.
Have you heard the tale of Brandon Aiyuk? The man who wanted to hold out for more money when he is not the best player on his team holding out for more money in the same season. Naturally, the 49ers had a decision to make. Are we going to pay Brandon Aiyuk, or are we going to pay Trent Williams? They gave the boot to Brandon Aiyuk. And I think that the only reason it's a shock is because multiple sources came out last week and said that Brandon Aiyuk will work out a deal with the 49ers. Now they're about to let him walk. The teams that are in contention right now, it looks like the Browns and the Patriots have a trade package put together. Obviously, Brandon Aiyuk would have to agree to it. It sounds like Pittsburgh was in, then they're out, then maybe they're in again. Sounds like Washington's somewhat interested. Gentlemen, my question to you is this. If you're Brandon Aiyuk, the ball is back in your court because the 49ers said go ahead and seek a trade. What would you do in this situation?
Well, I know that Brandon Aiyuk has a no trade clause. Even if they were trying to move him over to New England, he could say, nah. He can hold out. Don't you want to try to win a Super Bowl with that team? I think that it's an easy road to the Super Bowl with the 49ers.
I physically hate the concept of holding out for more money. When guys do this, that's all they care about. They don't care about the team. They don't care about the game. They don't care about this, and this. They care about the money. And they're already making enough money to where their families are going to be set for the rest of their lives. So it's disheartening to see that, just like you talked about, Jordan, he's a good wide receiver. He's very solidly one of the better receivers in the league, but he's not a transcendent talent or anything like that. Not that makes it better to hold out for exorbitant amounts of money, but I kind of agree with Jackson though. Why wouldn't you want to stick with this team and go back to a deep playoff run? It just doesn't make sense to me.
I think for sure he's only in it for the money. Otherwise, this wouldn't even be a thought. He would give the 49ers some leeway here because Trent Williams is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's got to get paid first.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Aiyuk, I don't know who you think you are, but you are not the best receiver in the league. You are not a top 5 receiver in this league. In my opinion, you're not even a top 10 receiver in this league. You're a very good receiver, but you are not in that echelon of, let's say, a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase, a CeeDee Lamb, even an Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're not in that category, dude. So for you to want to get paid the max, it ain't gonna happen there. It might happen in New England. It might happen in Cleveland. If I was him, I would pick Cleveland of the two because not only are they going to pay you, but you are set up for success. They have a tremendous defense. They have a really good offense. Hopefully, Deshaun Watson can be a little bit of what he used to be. He could be what they paid him to be, essentially. So that would be the way that I would go if I was Brandon Aiyuk. But I don't know. This whole holding out thing, like you said, Jesse, is not a good look. And Jackson, you said it too. The last guy to hold out who was serious about holding out all season was Le'Veon Bell, and look how his career turned out after he did that. Extremely downhill. Everything he did after that was for nothing because he went to the Jets. And why is it when these players go to the Jets they can't do anything, man? Like, what is it about the New York Jets? But learn a lesson, man. Go back to the 49ers, realize this is your best chance for success. Go win a Super Bowl. You're going to get a max deal wherever you want to go after that. Get that ring, dude, because you're going to win it if you stay with them.
Let's look at Deshaun Watson. Before a lot of the legal issues that came about, he wanted to get traded out of Houston before all those allegations showed up, and he was going to sit out. Deshaun Watson has been injured and has not played well since how he played in 2020. It's crazy that you see these players that sit out for a long period of time that you're not consistently playing. It does affect your game because we even talked about this in the Olympics earlier. A lot of players, bigger, faster, stronger, growing. If you sit out, you might lose a step. I'm not saying that Aiyuk's going to lose a step. He's 26 years old. But think about coming back. If you're not well conditioned, you could potentially either tear an ACL, pull a hammy, something could potentially happen. And I don't want that on him. But if you weren't conditioning and treating and taking care of your body, because that's what a lot of the training camp is, it's getting you ready for the regular season. But I know a lot of players in the off season are also lifting weights, working out together, making sure, because it's a year-round job. And I don't know what Aiyuk's off-season routine is, but I'm sure that he has been running routes and is probably also working out with other quarterbacks and teammates. But still, it can hurt you in the long run if you aren't well conditioned and ready for the upcoming season.
Well, we did it, guys. We ended another episode of the Circus Catch. Thanks a lot for joining me, and thank you to the folks at home for continuing to tune in. Even when my audio is off, I know that it doesn't match my voice or my head movements at all. Don't worry about that. We'll get it fixed. In the meantime, enjoy your week. We'll see you next time. Sayonara.